Aloha everyone. Today we're going to talk about heat therapy. My name is Jennifer Espenscheid and this is The Art of Life. Heat therapy is one of my favorite ways. I think I say that about all these methods and practices, but really heat therapy is, I think, across the board, one of the best things that I do for myself a couple times a week. And at the end of this podcast, I'm going to, as an experiment of one, let you know how it's benefited my life. I've been doing it, I would say, at least 2 times a week when I'm at home, and I seek it out when I travel. And I've accumulated and noticed changes, and I've also noticed the slowing of a lot of things like aging. So I'm going to share all that with you and what I think it's done for me. But first, let's get into a little bit of the history of heat therapy and the very hot. We'll talk about the science, and then we'll get into some of the ways that you can get it into the hot and some tricks and tips that I know help me stay in longer, which can be really beneficial. Heat therapy, and specifically thermal baths and saunas, have made my life a lot easier. As a creator, I need to focus and feel good in order to manifest art and to be really effective in my life. And it keeps me functioning really highly. I like to think of heat as a grit dial. So the more you can last in the heat, the less big of a deal anything else is. Sort of like the heat goes up and then everything else in life is just easier. Since the dawn of humans and even some animals, we have loved and sought out heat therapy. If there was a hot springs or a mineral springs in your area, your tribe wanted to be in it. Over the millennia, it's been a social gathering place and a place of healing. I've been to some really ancient Moroccan hammams where they're buildings that people go to. Some alternate days, men and women, some have separated areas, some it's all together. And in these hammams, you are scrubbed after you're nice and warm. And it is the cleanest, truly squeaky you will ever be. You come out of there several shades different than when you went in. I've soaked in the mineral waters that Ponce de Leon called the fountain of youth in Puerto Rico. I'm not so sure it made me younger, but after a really hard day in the surf and in the rapids, it felt ideal. And I did feel a lot of recovery. I did my best to follow the public protocol in Taiwan. Those hot springs, of course, have lots of minerals, and that's a very social and engaging place where people go every week and they see their friends. I visited the baths in Barcelona and Prague and Turkey and Laos, and these are all ancient or much older places where beautiful architecture has been built to celebrate heat therapy and those social aspects, being healthy and being clean. I also think that the jungles in Malaysia count as sauna, and I think Burning Man is the longest and most interesting dry sauna I've ever been in. So all over the world, I like to seek out heat and use it as a cultural experience, as well as I know it's going to leave me feeling clean and refreshed and accomplished and relaxed, and I'm doing something really, really great for my body, and I'm come away enlivened. So I sauna for overall physical health, and I did invest in my own about 6-ish years ago when pain and inflammation had me exhausting all my other options, and I got an infrared sauna. And so I'm excited to share what it's done with my life and find some ways to get you in the heat. So what is all this hype about? It's about how you feel. But let's look at the science. Yes, let's. First, there's the physical benefits. So detoxification. Sweating promotes the excretion of toxins like heavy metals, BPAs, and other environmental pollutants. I can totally attest to this. When I'm a little bit sick and I get in the sauna, I will get a rash on my torso. And I also had that the first 6 months that I had the sauna. So you definitely are herxing things are coming out of you. I used to have heavy metals in my system, and I do think that anything you put in your body on purpose or that is just around you in the environment or even accidentally this is a great way to wring out your organs and kind of create that fever and get it out of your system. It also improves your cardiovascular health. Saunas are used to increase heart rate and improves blood vessel function, mimicking moderate exercise. Studies link the frequent sauna sessions to a reduced risk of heart disease and stroke. I can definitely attest to this. In addition to the cold therapy, heat therapy has really helped my circulation over the years. Since I've had the sauna, I have had less and less over time tingling and pain in the winter in my fingertip. And then that overall glow, like you just exercised and you just feel better. Sauna also enhances muscle recovery. The heat increases blood flow to the muscles, speeding up the removal of lactic acid and reducing post-exercise soreness. I really like doing the sauna before my workouts. I feel like my muscles are really nourished with blood. I feel limber. I usually stretch a little bit. And so I feel my muscles are warmed up and heated. So I like to exercise also after because my muscles feel much more ready. Heat therapy reduces inflammation. Sauna exposure decreases markers of inflammation and it releases more anti-inflammatory molecules. This is one of the reasons that I got the sauna in the first place, is because I had heard about this and I can definitely attest to much less inflammation overall. Pain relief is another reason. Heat can soothe muscle tension and joint discomfort, making it beneficial for arthritis and other musculoskeletal conditions. All right, I will say it again, it's been a godsend. So let's talk a little bit now about heat shock proteins. Heat shock what? Right, heat shock proteins. So they are released when we're in the heat, and they do several things. They act as molecular chaperones. They help in this folding and unfolding and refolding of proteins, and they prevent the aggregation and ensure proper protein function. I'm just reading this because I couldn't remember all of it. They maintain the structural integrity of the proteins, preventing the accumulation of damaged or misfolded ones that could lead to cellular dysfunction. They also help our immune regulation and immune response, helping to activate immune cells and modulate inflammation. They help with cell survival. They protect the cells from stress-inducing death by inhibiting apoptosis and promoting cell surviving pathways. And then the regulation of gene expression. So heat shock proteins can interact with the transcription factors to regulate the expression of genes involved in stress response. So I think what this means is that we are kind of ironing out anything that's going wrong or that's a little bit dirty or misplaced. And these heat shock proteins can really get involved in making our systems cleaner on a molecular level and taking care of our cells and eliminating cell damage. So that's the physical of heat therapy, but there's lots of mental and cognitive benefits too. Mood enhancement. Sauna use triggers the release of endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin, which can reduce stress and improve overall mood. It feels like I had a hit of something illegal when I get out of there. Amazing. It reduces stress by adding hormetic stress. So heat exposure lowers cortisol levels, helping you feel more relaxed. This is true. So the hormetic stress, which is self-inflicted and you know you're doing it for a reason, and it's stressing the body up, it's raising your tolerance for things, that's going to overall make you much more relaxed, and then chemically has this benefit of evening out our cortisol. It's going to improve your sleep quality. So post-sauna relaxation can support deeper and more restorative sleep. Amen. I love my sleep. I sleep like a baby. And so this probably has a lot to do with it, along with exercise. And wonderfully, it has to do with cognitive protection. Regular sauna use has been associated with a reduced risk of Alzheimer's disease and dementia, possibly due to improved circulation and reduced inflammation. So not just our body is going to be free of the inflammation, it's working that out when the blood is circulating in our brain and cleaning our brain out, we're going to have less inflammation there. It's going to make our cognitive process easier. And then horrible diseases like dementia and Alzheimer's are hopefully being relieved as well. Then we have hormonal benefits. It can improve your sensitivity to insulin, which is wonderful. And that regulates your blood glucose level and improves your insulin sensitivity. Wonderful. And then third is our hormonal regulation, which is improved through diet, exercise, all the healthy living. But when you get into the sauna, it can also stimulate the production of human growth hormone, which helps us recover and helps our cells repair. Okay, there's a lot to talk about here. I definitely like to do anything I can to get my human growth hormones to kick in. And that happens in deep sleep. And that's one of the reasons I like to do sauna in the morning when I don't have food in my stomach, but I am hydrated. Because when we're not digesting and we're coming off sleep and getting all that human growth hormone and then can go right into the heat, and then more is being produced, our cells are really being cleaned, and the human growth hormone is going around our body repairing everything. So that's magical. And the other thing that is very exciting, and I didn't think about this till after I went through perimenopause and postmenopause, I never got a hot flash and I've never been heat sensitive. So I can attribute it, I think, in part to the heat. It helps regulate our systems. It's helping regulate our hormones. It's keeping us cleaned out. And it's also giving us a tolerance so that maybe when we start to heat up, our other systems kick in and calm everything down. So that is a big factor. Other noticeable benefits are healthy skin. So the sweating is actually taking toxins and pushing them through our pores. It's cleaning out our pores and promoting clear, more radiant skin. So seriously, I do think it has helped my skin. I haven't noticed too many signs of aging in my face due to the sun. Definitely there's sunspots, but I think it keeps my skin really soft, really moisturized, and you have that rosy glow because of all the circulation that's happening. It's an immune boost. Sauna sessions may increase white blood cell production and improve immune function. For sure. I know that when I'm feeling a little under the weather and I'll hit the sauna definitely 3 times a week and maybe even fit another one in there, that mini fever that it creates seems to burn anything off. So I'll definitely go along with that one. And then we have enhanced longevity. Studies have found a correlation between regular sauna use and a longer lifespan and hopefully health span, likely due to the combined cardiovascular, metabolic, and anti-inflammatory benefit. So those studies are done on areas that have sauna in their social history. And I think having done it for the last 6 years, I have less aches and pains and better health overall and feel younger than I did than before I had the sauna. So that's part of my little science of one. The other mental thing that I'd like to bring up here is whether you're doing it in a social setting or doing it with yourself, which I do most of the time, it is a place of Zen. It can be utilized as a time to meditate, a spiritual time out. I have a sauna ritual, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but I think it's important we don't all have the capacity to sauna together and have that be a social setting, but I think the self-social aspect is really beautiful. It's a place to recenter and it's a place to recalibrate and find your inner peace. So here's some types of total immersion heat therapies. We tend to talk about sauna a lot, but there are actually more, and hopefully you can find one in your area that can benefit you. So first of all, we have hot springs. It's really great when they have beneficial minerals in the ground, and those are usually in nature, which itself is healing, and they're wonderful. We have hot baths. I got through the last several months of both pregnancies with the help of fairly hot baths and lots of Epsom salt. So just really relaxing the body. It's a great alternative to sauna. It can give you mini fevers if you're fighting something off or if your body's really sore for muscle recovery. There are, of course, and that is everything from like a dry Finnish sauna to a wet Turkish hammam, and more of the steamy hot saunas that can be found in a lot of gyms. And then there are saunas that are clad in minerals. Some have eucalyptus in them. Some have different wood in them. All these things have different properties. I've been in salt saunas that are supposed to absorb any toxins and like pull them out of you. I've been on hot rock saunas where the floor is heated and you go in and lay on these hot rocks with a towel between you, and it seems to bake all the inflammation right out of you, all the duress, all the disease. It's like waking up a new human. I've been in dry saunas that have amethyst or different crystals all over. At the very minimum, it's fascinating and beautiful to look at, but those also might have other properties. And then I've been in a sauna that's so hot, they're actually at head level, and you're usually crouching on the floor trying to find your calm and like watching the sweat pour out of you. But it's so hot, 190 degrees, that at head level, there are eggs cooking. And that is as close to a spiritual hot experience as I've had. You feel so much energy and you almost feel chills, you're so hot, and a surrender that just lets go of anything mental. You have no capacity to hold on to anything. You're just taking it one breath at a time. Hot showers do warm you up, not necessarily the immersive qualities that we're looking for these scientific benefits. These are some of the ways that you can get into the heat and really benefit your whole day. So the infrared sauna that I have is hot, not as hot as a wet or dry sauna, but it also has infrared rave. I am not having a rave in the sauna. Infrared waves, and those are off the spectrum that we can visibly see. And there's far, near, and mid. And so the far ones are going to go penetrate deeper into your body and kind of heat your inside and your organs, which is really important for detoxing. And then the mid is going to be more like deep skin. And then the near is going to be really skin related. So it's going to do a lot for collagen. And these infrared rays are really working with your body and getting into your physicality. And I love that. I do feel epic when I get out of there. I feel like I have been cleansed. Another good thing about saunas over some of the other methods is that saunas and all heat like to get toxins out of you. Your pores are open and you're excreting sweat. Now, the thing about getting in a tub or getting in a hot tub or something like that is that they might have a lot of chemicals in them and your pores are open. So while it's washing your toxins away, your pores are open to whatever is around. So that's something to think about. And when you're in a hot tub or in a tub, you can utilize those open pores for things like different herbs or minerals. I love Epsom salt. So it feels like forgiveness for all the things that you've done to your body that day. All the aches and pains float away. So there's a few things I want to share that help me last longer in the heat. First, some of us sweat right away. Some of us are sweating before we get in the sauna. I tend to take a while to sweat, and I'm really uncomfortable until I start sweating. So number one is just wait till you get your sweat on. Things are going to feel better. The second thing is I like to utilize, like I feel like if I'm doing something in the sauna, I'm not just sitting there thinking about being really hot. So I'll bring in a book, I'll bring in my journal and do gratitudes. I will do writing. I try and make it something about self-care and forward movement. So I might bring an oracle card in and I'll do a lot of stretching. I'm always like holding onto the sides, stretching, and have my feet in the air. And it's great because your whole body is looser and nice and warm. So you can really sink into those stretches and use it as a yin yoga time. I also like to reflect, and then you can also do nice moderate breathing. And when you turn in and you're meditating in sauna and you can last even 5 minutes in meditation, it's pretty impressive. So those are some of the things that I do to last longer in the sauna. And over time, you will be able to build up. Let's talk about our science of one. This has been about a 6-year experiment. So how it's changed my life. I think we can start with what's most apparent, which is on the outside. So I don't feel as though when I sauna regularly, that I am dehydrated or I have wrinkles. I think that my skin overall, and I have other protocols for that, I'm not necessarily aging backwards, but I'm definitely don't see the signs of aging on my skin. So today I'm a little bit dehydrated because I haven't had enough to drink, but in general, my skin is cleaner, my pores are cleaner, I never have breakouts. And so skin health is a big part of it. Then the reduced inflammation. So the reason I got the sauna in the first place, not just because I wanted it overall, was really driven there by the pain that was in my body. So from a few different surgeries, a double mastectomy, and then the following surgeries and different scar tissues, and who knows what happened in there. I had a lot of fascia, scar tissue, and a lot of inflammation. Directly after sauna, I feel a lot lovelier. And then over time, my inflammation, my pain has gone down. So I am returning over time to the same activities that I was doing before, which is extremely reassuring. And I'm really thrilled with that. Let's see, what else did I write down here? Oh, higher tolerances for discomfort. So discomfort and pain are different. Let's not confuse the two. When it's really hot out, or you're at a camp out, or there's not air conditioning, or someone's really annoying you, those are discomforts, right? Things where we're like a little moving in our skin, like we could be more comfortable. And I think humans overall try to be too comfortable, and I think we get weaker and weaker mentally and physically. So one of the things the heat has helped me do is, across the board, my tolerance for discomfort is higher. It doesn't mean I move towards discomfort. It just means I can handle it and I can still be really effective, and life is very enjoyable. I do think I recover faster. Getting in there after the day after I've done a lot of exercise, I'll go in, feel achy, and I'll come out really rubber bandy. So I do think it's really great for recovery. I definitely have been detoxified. In those first months, I was herxing, and my torso was covered with like a rash, these bumps. And over time, being in the sauna, it was less and less. And then now, unless I'm sick, I will not have those. So a lot has really come out. And I think that they're wringing out our cells, it's expelling that. And mentally, I feel as though a lot gets released in the sauna as well. Chemically, I think it is very helpful. There's studies out on how it helps our hormones and balances things. And I am going to give it a decent deal of credit for my, I'm going to say, relatively easy perimenopause and postmenopause, because I didn't really feel it. I never had hot flashes. I wasn't really irritable. I didn't have the normal things that I often hear about. And I do think having that upper threshold of the heat, and I'll talk about cold in another episode, but having those things and the different heat shock proteins, it was just in there figuring things out and making things easier. And I do think it has helped my sense of Zen. I can often return to that feeling when I get out of the sauna. It's like the feeling after breath work or after the cold, where you're returning to a state that is just calm and very centered and very loving and very effective. And then another way it's really helped is it's much easier to get into the cold. So that I started about 3 years ago, and we'll talk about that next. But cold immersion has helped vastly. And when you are nice and sweaty and hot and then get into the cold, that temperature change is so dramatic and is so wonderful for your body and your spirit. Oh my God, it just feels so amazing. So I'm really excited if you can figure out how to do that. So that might look like a hot bath, and then at the end of a very long hot bath, turn on the cold and breathe through it. And there's all kinds of ways to handle the cold as well, but it's that contrast that really magnifies all the benefits. So try that out, the hot tub and then the cold shower afterwards. Let's try and find you some heat this week. So maybe check at your gym. If you don't have a hot tub, hopefully your gym will. And hot showers, if there's nothing else. Exercise, of course, is a form of heat and it's a form of sweating. So all these things are ways to make it worth the effort. And not everyone can afford a sauna. I didn't feel I had a choice. I wanted to dedicate the currency to that. And so it might take a lot of effort getting to a gym that has one and really making that part of your weekly practice. But I promise right away you'll feel the benefits, and then over time they start to compound. So please find yourself some heat. It is amazing therapy. This is the Art of Life, where we talk about methods and practices for living your best life, being the ultimate creator of your reality, the artist and architect of your life. Mwah.